When I'm ink blending with brushes, I tend to scatter them across my desk and it makes a bit of a mess. So I'm really excited to share with you today some new Catherine Pooler brushes and a brush holder that fits perfectly on my desk. It is not too big and it really contains the brushes that I happen to be using for the project at hand. First, I just wanted to let you know that everything that I'm using in today's video, I purchased for myself. It was not sent to me. Let's start looking at the brush holder. There's this silicone insert into a plastic tray, and you could take it out to wash it if you needed to, and then just place it right back in. And it's got different dividers inside that silicone for different sizes of brushes. These are the Catherine Pooler blending brushes, these detail brushes. I love these sizes. I think they're absolutely perfect for layered stencils. So you can see the larger ones will fit in those larger spots, and then the smaller ones will fit in kind of the petals of the flower, if that's how they look to you. I really like how this brush holder has the ability to hold different sizes of brushes. I also like that it's not too large. It fits right on my work surface, either at the top or the side, and doesn't take up a lot of real estate when I'm trying to work on stencils and have other things on my desk. Now, it also fits other companies' brushes. So that tiny little brush was a waffle flower. That medium-sized brush I just put in was Spellbinders. There's a detail brush from the Stamp Market and a large blending brush from Simon Says Stamp. They all fit in there. The silicone stretches to allow those larger brushes to sit in there just perfectly. For today's video, I also purchased the Fold and Cut Hearts panel die, as well as the Sweethearts 6x6 pattern paper pad. What I love about Catherine Pooler pattern paper is that they tell you right on the front which inks from their line the pattern paper goes with. So I pulled about 4 or 5 inks that I thought I would want to use today. They are the pinks and oranges and the mint as well. Now I've cut out that panel die and I have the positive pieces, these hearts. And so I'm using the Catherine Pooler blending brushes to color in each of these die cuts. And that's one great way to use these small blending brushes. Yes, they're great with layered stenciling, but they have other uses too. And this is definitely one of my favorites. So I have a small waffle flower grip mat down on my glass mat. You can see the brush holder in the top left corner, and it's keeping those brushes right in place as I work so that they're not touching any of the cardstock that I have. You can see I have the panel cut out at the bottom left, and usually I'd have brushes rolling around and ink accidentally getting in places I didn't want it. So this brush holder is perfect. Again, it is small enough to keep on my work surface even when I'm doing other things like placing glue behind the panel die cut that I have. So I'm using the My Sweet Petunia Precision Glue Press. This glue bottle is getting towards the end, and so I'm squeezing a little more. I know a lot of you wanted an update on how I felt about it. I still feel like squeezing a handle is a lot easier than squeezing a small glue bottle. So that's just me. I'll place that down on an A2 piece of white cardstock, and then I'm going to do that die cut inlay where I pop those positive pieces into those negative outlines, and I'm using foam squares to pop them up so that they have a little dimension off of the white on white background. I love this color combination. It's great for Valentine's Day, but it's great for really any card, anytime. Again, I have all of my brushes right at hand, and what I've decided to do is cut out a piece of the pattern paper with the same die. So then I'll clip out some of those pieces that weren't positive pieces that just fell out, and I'll place those on top of the white backgrounds where they belong on the die. So it's another die cut, but it's not inlay per se. It's kind of onlay, I guess. I don't know. It's going on top of the pieces of that background just to add a little bit more interest and color to this card, which would have been very simple and pretty with the white on white and just the inking, but I love this pattern paper so much that I wanted to use it here. So you can see that I'm actually gluing those pieces straight down. Next up, I have the Forever Yours sentiment stamp set from Catherine Pooler Designs. This is a great love sentiment set. You can use it for Valentine's Day, but definitely some really great sentiments that you could use any time of the year to make love-themed cards. I'm using the XOXO, where the O's are hearts. I've stamped that in Catherine Pooler's Midnight Ink and then just cut it into a sentiment strip and placed it in the middle of this card, popped up on some foam squares. For the next card, I'll be using some Distress watercolor cardstock in the A2 size. I have the same colors of ink that I used before, only I'm not using the mint this time because I'm trying to create a watercolor background. The great thing about Catherine Pooler inks is that you can use them for lots of different things, blending, stenciling, ink blending, all kinds of things, but watercoloring as well. So if you place down blobs of this ink, I have the Samba and I have It's a Girl, and I also have Glitz. So those are three of the colors that match the pattern paper. I'm just using the brushes to just plop down some color and then spritz it with some water. I'm actually using quite a bit of water. I really want to make sure these colors move and blend together, and you can see that they do. I had some puddles, so I picked those up with a towel, and then I'm adding some more of the It's a Girl because I want the base of this to be pink, and a lot of that pink came off when I picked it up. So adding a little bit more of the pink in here so that I can have color everywhere on this card panel. I will spritz it again with water, but just not so much water. Again, my brushes are right in that brush holder, right off to the side, so that if I need to add some more color in, I can just grab the one that I was using and add that color in. After a little spritz, I'm happy with how it looks, so now I'll heat set this panel. I'll go back and forth from the front to the back to keep it from warping too much. And I'll want to heat set this so that these colors now stay. I'll cut that watercolor panel down to 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and I do that by taking a quarter off on each side and then going around again. I have one of the stamps from the Forever Yours sentiment stamp set. I'll place it in the center of that watercolor panel, and I'll use Catherine Pooler Midnight Ink to stamp this sentiment right on top of that watercolor panel that is fully dried at this point. And I absolutely love how amazing that black looks on that watercolor background. I'll use a little tape runner all over the panel so that I can really flatten it out and place it on an A2 piece of pattern paper from that pattern paper stack that we saw earlier in the video. I love those XOs. Of course, I had a little black ink on my finger, so it got a little on the watercolor panel. Just using a sand eraser to take off that black and then a little bit of that pink ink again, just what's left on the brush to add a little color over it so it doesn't look like it was scrubbed in that area. Then I have 2 of the hearts from the first card that we cut out that were the positive pieces, and I'll pop those up above and below the sentiment. This was a fun card to put together, another way to use those brushes, and another way to keep them handy on your desk while you're using them, using that brush holder. Like I mentioned, I'm not using this brush holder to store or organize all of my brushes. I'm simply using it as a way to keep the brushes that I'm working with at that time in a nice contained area. I like having them right at my fingertips like that. But I'd love to hear if you think this would help you contain some of your chaos when you're card making. Let me know in the comments below. As always, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. When I'm ink blending with brush, I use some of those using it to contain the brushes that I'm using for the project that I happen to be working on. Okay.